All right, this news outlet has covered so many instances of unconscionable judicial leniency in South Carolina where violent criminals are turned out on our streets. We've covered so many of these cases, it's hard to keep track of them. But one of the cases that stands out was one we wrote about in December of last year, just a few months ago, involving a former Chester County deputy by the name of Evan Hawthorne. Now, this 29-year-old is accused of brutally murdering a fellow law enforcement officer after an argument at a bar. Now, Hawthorne received bond in his case due to some clever maneuverings involving South Carolina House Minority Leader Todd Rutherford. Now, Rutherford wasn't his lawyer tasked with trying this murder case, but a very curious thing happened when it came time for Hawthorne's bond hearing to be considered. Rutherford, all of a sudden, is the lawyer who was on the case. Now, we hear about these stories all the time, powerful lawyer legislators being brought in solely to argue these bond hearings. We've covered many of these stories, including some scandals down in Charleston involving Circuit Court Judge Bentley Price and some lawyer legislators down there in the Low Country. But rarely do we hear the roots of these scandals discussed openly. And in the case of Hawthorne, you get to hear that. We have obtained through the Freedom of Information Act some jailhouse calls between Hawthorne and one of his relatives discussing the very nature by which Todd Rutherford came on his team to argue for this bond hearing. And not only that, how they went out and picked just the right judge to hear the bond hearing motion. Let's cut to that tape.
Well, I talked to Todd this morning.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, he called me back. He said that, that he's watching it closely to see what the lineup is for the judges and stuff.
Yeah, I was about to tell you don't rush him because, you want the right judge.
Yeah, I told him, I think he's up on it, and we're, he said to tell you to be patient. He's working on it. And the last guy, he said he was disappointed that, he's postponing the thing. He said that's unusual for that judge to do that. He thinks he's under a lot of pressure with York County. So he said he didn't want to go. Yeah, he doesn't want to go under him again. He's waiting on something. So I said, yeah, you got it under control. I appreciate you looking out for him and doing what you think is fair.
Did he say that other guy came to a decision yet, the judge?
Not yet. He said sometimes that he hates when they do that. Hates it because then they'll postpone it months sometimes.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, he said that, I think that judge is usually a good one, but he said he must be under the spell of something now. And because they allowed the court, they allow media in the courtroom now for certain cases, and he feels like that's what happened with that one, that he didn't want to look bad to the media, I guess.
Yeah.
But he's waiting on something for you, he said.
Okay. Well, don't rush him.
No, I'm not.
Because, you can't control the judges who come here, so it might be a while before we get a good one.
I know, and I'm thankful that he's looking out for you.
Yeah.
But, at least he's got connections. So I'm hoping and praying.
Yeah.
He's the right one,
No, everything's good.
Yep.
I was wondering if, having Todd on board was going to affect that other stuff, because I think Jack said something about having some other hearings at the next bond hearing.
Well, they're going to do it at the same time, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think after, or somewhere in there, he's going to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
But, I don't know.
Because I didn't know if there'd be a conflict of interest with, say Todd wants to go in front of a certain judge and Jack wants to go in front of a certain judge.
Yeah, I don't know either. I'm going to call Jack about that because I'm going to tell him that, Todd really feels like he wants to go in front of a certain judge, and I think that we're willing to wait on that judge. If our chances are better, I'd rather wait.
Yeah. Supposedly Jack knows one of the judges that's visiting here. So that's what he told another guy. Yeah.
Well, that's what I need to let Jack know,
Yeah.
because I think he's already got, before we hired Todd, I think Jack had already told us not to get our hopes up, but then Todd had a totally different opinion about the whole thing, and so you shouldn't even be there right now. You should, so I felt more confident by just the way Todd was speaking about it. So, that's why we went ahead and got him on board, because, I feel like Todd's more of a fighter when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think Jack is more involved in the actual trial aspect. So I'm going to...
I just want it to be like a big, so, because if Jack wanted to go in front of a certain judge for the other hearings, you know what I'm saying, and then Todd wants to go in front of a judge for the bond hearing, maybe they should be separate or something.
Well, yeah, I agree. Maybe you ought to send Jack a email and tell him you'd like to talk to him.
Yeah,
maybe talk to him about it.
I don't know.
I mean, I would think that, the judge out of town would be better than somebody, involved
you have 1 minute
in
left.
Politics.
Yeah.
Somebody that's not involved in the politics of York County. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I need to talk to Jack about that.
Yeah. Yeah, bring that up to him, if he feels like he wants to go in front of a certain judge and Todd wants to go in front of a different one, it might be best to wait.
Right. They need to be communicating, the two of them.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, but I will follow up on it.
What you heard on that tape happens all the time in South Carolina. Powerful lawyer legislators manipulating the system, specifically targeting judges, which they appoint, whose budgets they set, whose qualifications they decide, and then whom they ultimately elect, twisting the arms of their fellow legislators in South Carolina. It's a badly broken system, people, and you are seeing in that clip exactly how it works. Not in the interest of justice, not in the interest of victims, not in the interest of public safety, but in the interest of a powerful few who get business from clients like that because they know the outcome of these hearings are rigged before they even start. If you've had enough of that kind of justice, join our fight to get lawyer legislators out of the business of picking judges in South Carolina.